to another episode of the Autonomy Pods podcast. And for once in a blue moon, I am on my own. It was quite some time ago that I've done my solo podcasts. I got really, really excited about bringing on loads of guests, especially the client ones that kind of could tell their own story. I thought that's what I ideally wanted the podcast to be, a variation of just client case studies, clients telling you how brilliant we are, but also clients telling you their stories, their triumphs, their struggles, the things that really matter when it comes to going through a transformational journey. But today I'm on my own in a coffee shop, having just kind of semi-launched the book that I've been keeping under wraps. I didn't really want to do a launch, but I did, but then I didn't, and then I got excited, and now I'll put it out there. So you guys can check it and go and get it from my Linktree page on my Instagram bio. Go to the 6 Phases to Forever book, and that will give you the access to the book once you go through and sign in. Hopefully you like it, but I'm going to talk about the book in a bit, but I want to talk about something a little bit different first before I started. So we talk often, and in the book specifically, we talk a lot about finding the benefits for training as opposed to the fear-based mechanisms. So, when you start training, and we spoke about this before in different podcasts, you will have a fear-based nature. You'll have a negative nature towards why you're doing things. No one really steps foot in, looks at themselves in the mirror and goes, fuck, I need to diet, when they're so happy about themselves. Normally they feel content if they look the way they want to look. But most of the stuff around fat loss or making change to your body, making change to your habits, all comes at a cost of, this is negative, or the jeans don't fit anymore, or the t-shirt doesn't fit anymore. But we have to change that in order to create long-term success. Kieran spoke about it, that fear is not a bad motivator, but also neither can you last on it all of the time, and nor is it beneficial all of the time. Whereas you need more of a carrot dangling in front of you to kind of work towards. So you can have the fear base behind you, but also you can have the strategic carrot in front of you. And for me, it's been a long journey on trying to make benefits towards training. A lot of my stuff was definitely visual based. Body composition. I want to be massive. I want to be lean. I want to be, looked at and be like, wow, fuck, he's in really good shape. And that overtook a lot of the reasons why I did like anabolic steroids, or why I trained the way I did, or ate the way I did. Everything was designed towards me getting that gratification of wanting to look a certain way, and not really doing it for myself. At that time, and some of you know my story about my knee. There's obviously this like juxtaposition of like wanting to look a certain way, but also this deep sadness that I'm probably going to need a knee replacement in the next couple of years, and it hurts every single day if I do anything over like 4,000 or 5,000 steps, and progressively gets worse. Like 2 or 3 years ago, when I did leave for traveling, I could do 20,000 steps, no worries, no day, any day, and it would be absolutely fine. Now I'm struggling to do 4,000. And there's no real differences apart from just the degradation of the knee itself. So it's like that deep sadness that you have when you can't really do anything about something. It's almost like some deep trauma. So for a while, training was more like my release to just get that upper body the way I wanted it to look and be out of pain. And but most recently, I'd been working with my therapist, and often there's this thing of where we want to be a normal. Like, I didn't want to do things that took me away from being not normal. So, I tried golf. And the reason why I gave golf up for my like cardio or my exercise was because if I wanted to go and do 18 holes, I'd have to go and get one of the buggies. And if I had to go and get the buggies every single time, I couldn't walk with my friends who was also doing golf, because they walked around, and it would cost me more money to do the buggy, which, financial limitations plus not being like a part of the crew drove me to not wanting to do it. I wanted to do what everyone else was doing. Everyone else was walking around, especially in Runcorn when I lived there. They didn't have any buggies. There was 75-year-old men walking around the 18-hole course, and I couldn't do that. So I gave it up and thought, well, if I can't do it the way that everyone else is doing it, then I don't want to do it at all. And I tried multiple different things over the last 10 years. I've always tried my hand at trying to get to do something that my knee could take capabilities for without there being a detriment to that pain. And, all of the things, and now in hindsight, all of the things that I did try could have worked. But there was one part of it that I couldn't do that now I've been able to do. And that is I'm accepting that I have to do things differently. I have to play by different rules. And the reason why I'm telling you this is that because there will be parts of your life where you will have to go outside of the normal values of your friends and your families, and definitely speak about this in the book about your environment, to get what you want. instead of what you feel like you should be a part of. So like, if you want to play golf, but you can't play 18 holes because of some reason like my knee, why can't you go to the driving range? Why can't you play pitch and putt in your back garden? If you want to do golf so much, there should be an adjustment. But the reason why we don't do those things is because it's not against the social norm. If all of your friends are doing 18 holes and you can't do 18 holes and you can't even do 9 holes, then you you won't be able. You feel like you're less inclined to do it because you'll be segregated from the group. Same as with fat loss. If you're the first person in your family to even consider going on a diet, then you're going to be segregated from the group because they're going to be like, oh, well, why are you doing that? Why would you need to do that? What we eat is healthy. And then you feel like you're an outsider. And this feeling for me was something that I always didn't, I tried to remove myself from the most. I tried to be in a situation where I was always as part of the group. So I would either overcompensate or I would dampen down my own personality to formalize and conform within the group so I could be part of something. When I was younger, with especially the knee side of things, I'd watch people play football or I'd watch these things and I would build up this anxiety within me and frustration that I couldn't be out there doing that. But then when I was part of the group or when I was, doing other things in the classroom or whatever, I'd always try and be part of that group because that environment was what I wanted to be part of. Because I couldn't do it at the football ground, I had to do it elsewhere. Anyway, so this really correlates back to, there's always something that you can do towards your goals to get what you desire. You might just have to step outside of what that social norm is and that bubble that you really, really want to be a part of. We're social beings, we're humans in nature, we're around in packs, we have cliques, we have groups of people, we have communities that we want to stay a part of. And when we do things that really stress those communities and stretch them so that we kind of move outside of those boundaries, we have one or two options. We either go and find a new community and we go and join those guys who have the similar experiences or the similar positions, or you stay as part of your own community, but you do this particular thing just by yourself. It becomes something that you do for yourself because you want to do it. And I think that's where we're moving to now, where a lot of people can stay within those cliques and can stay within those environments and end up doing things that they don't want to do. A large example of this is like the corporate funnel that a lot of South Asian Indians that go through when they're going into university. They're funneled by their parents or the people around them to go down the corporate ladder because it's safer, there's more money, it's more stability, it's a great job, or whatever the other people are telling them. And then they get down that funnel and realize, hang on a minute, I fucking hate my job. I don't like this. This is what it wasn't supposed to be. I do nothing that I like. So then they come outside of that, and then they either do one or two things. They don't go outside of it. They keep doing it and hate it, or they actually move away and do more of the things that they love. And that's brilliant that people step away. But it's happening in all different walks of life. It's happening in all different scenarios that you may be choosing to be part of the culture or the crew as opposed to do the things that you want to do. And like for me, this was a big example when with the golf for me, my therapist challenged me. She was like, well, so you can't do 18 holes, but you want to play golf. I was like, yeah. And she's like, okay, well, how do people in wheelchairs play golf? Because it's at the Olympics, right? And I was like, well, it's like there's a PGA Tour for people with disabilities. I was like, yeah, but they've got like proper disabilities. They've got proper ailments, and I'm just like, I've just got a sore knee. And she's like, but you still have an inability to do the normal stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I know. So she's like, well, then if they find a way to do it and they can do it more often, then why can't you? And that's like, yeah, totally understand. That makes a lot of sense. And actually, yeah, I think I can take that into consideration. And then it made me think about all of the times and all the situations before in which I was passing off making adaptations for making change and making the thing about me as opposed to the thing about being part of the crew. So I had to think about the things that I could do, and I had to think about the things that I could adapt to make it my way. Now, I didn't think golf was golf was not a financially viable option for me because the golf buggy, maybe in the future, maybe when I'm earning millions and whatnot, the golf buggy will be a good idea. and then I can just go and drive around, hit a ball, drive again, hit a ball. But that just isn't financially viable at the moment. Um, but so I thought about what do I have in a close proximity to me, and I'm very, very lucky to live in an apartment block that has a lovely pool. So I thought, well, my arms work and they're all right, and if I don't move my legs that much, it's not going to hurt my knee. So I thought, I was sitting on one Saturday afternoon, just thinking, I might just go and give swimming a go. I can swim it. I don't drown. It's refreshing. It might be pretty decent. So I went down and swam, and it was like, as the moment that I got like into that second or third length, to realize firstly I wasn't actually fit at all cardiovascularly. I was really, really struggling. And secondly, I felt like, hang on a minute, I've made an adaptation to something that people would perceive as normal, and I'm actually thriving in it, and I'm actually doing something around it, which is awesome. So I I did a few more lengths. I was gassed out and completely dead, and then I put myself in that scenario where I was like, is this something I like to do? Is this something I want to do again? I was like, yeah, okay, cool. And when I fed back that information to my therapist, it's quite interesting the way that I said it. So I said something like, yeah, it's pretty decent because I can use my arms and no one can see my legs. And she's like, well, that's interesting that you say that. Why would you care if other people see your legs? Well, I was like, well, I think you just caught me on terminology there, but I'm assuming that I'm saying that because then they don't see that I'm not doing the same as everybody else. And she was like, but you're still swimming, right? And I was like, you're still moving in the water and swimming. I was like, yeah. She's like, okay, so you are doing what everyone else is doing. You're just doing it without the leg part. And that's like going to the gym and doing bicep curls without doing shoulder press. It's like, yeah, and no one cares if you don't do shoulders, right? Or they don't do a particular muscle group. So you're just doing that. I was like, fair point. I'll take that. And that made me now take that on as a bit of a challenge now. So we're now like 3 weeks into swimming just with my arms. Me and him called the paraplegic swimming competition, and I'll be entering in the next Olympics if I make it that far, or if I can go past 12 lengths. That is, because that's my record at the moment, 12 lengths in one go. And what I realized from all of these scenarios is that if you're so concerned about being normal, you'll never make it you, because we're not normal. None of us are the same, right? So even if we try and fit ourselves in the box of what normal swimming looks like, or normal golf looks like, or normal fat loss looks like, or normal dieting looks like, we're always going to be playing horses for courses, because none of us are normal, because there is no there is no norm. Some people diet for 8 weeks, some people diet for 20 weeks, some people have a flexible approach, some people have a strict approach, some people don't eat veggies, some people love veggies, some people are protein based, some other people hate protein, some people are vegetarian, some people are vegan. There's so many not normals that you almost have to own you to be able to get the most out of these scenarios. And I know that the swimming is a really interesting example, because I do have a physical ailment that doesn't allow me to do those particular things. But we all have particular ailments. They're not called ailments, they're called conditioning, they're called opinions, and they're called experiences that we all used when we were younger and as we go older to mold ourselves into the person that we are today. So when you come into something where you're like, I don't fit the norm on this, the norm doesn't matter. You can make adaptations to make it happen. So, if someone says, eat 150 grams of vegetables at every meal and you don't like vegetables, then don't have vegetables. But it doesn't mean that you cannot be on your diet. If you go over by 500 calories on one of your days, doesn't mean that tomorrow has to be over too. It was just one day, one experience, one thing. Go back to doing what you were doing the day after. And it's all coming down to this word called adapt and adaptation. And we don't want to move away from the social norm, so we struggle to adapt. But when we get over this frustration of like adapting things to us because we're being selfish, and we want to be selfish, and we want to be self-viewing, because often we leave ourselves to last, which then leaves us into a point of like we degrade over time in terms of what behaviors we have for ourselves. But in order to put ourselves in a self-view, we have to adapt around to things around us, because we need to make it for us or make it you. So if you have a day where you don't go shopping on a Saturday for your supermarket shop, that doesn't mean that your week's fucked. It means you need to ask yourself, when can I go shopping to do this particular thing? So you go on the Sunday, you go on the Monday morning, or I can't get to the gym Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday this week, so I might as well not go. No, make the adaptation. Go Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So learn yourself about, oh, I can't do the stepper because my knee hurts. Okay, do the cross trainer, do the treadmill, do the bike, swim, do hand swimming like I'm doing. There's always going to be an adaptation for you to succeed. And once you have this philosophy of adaptation over failure or adaptation over nothing, you'll be absolutely fine. And for me, this is a journey of like the last 10 years of trying to find something that I was willing to do. And what happened is that I was trying to do every sport the way that everyone else does it. So no wonder I'd be fucked, because I was trying to play five-a-side and trying to play midfield when I knew I couldn't run or I couldn't even walk. I was trying to play golf like everyone else, 18 holes and walk around. I was trying to, do steps like everybody else, 10K, 15K a day and get your exercise in. But I realized I can't do those things. Much similar to how some people can't do very low calorie diets, or they can't do a week without eating a piece of chocolate, or they can't do, or they can't say no to a takeaway 3 times a week. That doesn't mean you give up on your goals. It means you make adaptations. You either change it to make it you, so you do more and you learn more about yourself. So you learn to say no, or you learn to track your calories so you can move things around, or you realize that way isn't really serving you at the moment, and then you change that. So instead of golf, I go for swimming, or football, I go for light walks, or I don't walk. I make adaptations to my calories. Same as if 3 takeaways aren't serving you, or you not being able to say no to your parents isn't serving you, then you have to change it. You have to adapt. You can change both ends of the equation, but ultimately both ends have to change so that you can change. So I hope that makes a little bit of sense. And I wanted to put it on here because I think that's really important. Adoption. It's definitely not the adoption process. The adaptation process of you making you in a world that will want you to be average or be the mean of a group. And you're not a mean of the group. No one's a mean of the group. Like, a mean is a summation of all the other people around you. Each one of you is an individual with internal experiences and different conditioning and different opinions. So you have to find what works for you and make that adaptation so it does work for you, instead of you blaming, which I did. I blamed my knee for not being able to do any cardio, when actually I didn't. I should have been. I should have been blaming myself to not make the adaptation to the cardio to make it work for me. Same as a diet. Oh, my diet didn't. My diet was too restrictive. Okay, so make adaptations to the diet to make it less restrictive. What part is restrictive? Is it the element that you can't have takeaway 3 times a week anymore and you can't feed your face? That's a necessary evil. Or is it the fact is that you like the same meal plan for the last 14 days? That can be changed, that can be adapted, because no one's asking you to do that. So there's always adaptation. And I wanted to bring some accountability to here. So by the 22nd of October, I'm going to do 100 lengths in my pool on one day, which is mental, because like I can only do 12 lengths in one go at the moment. So that is like, I'm going to be doing 10 times the amount that I can do right now in about 30 days. And this is the first time I've really set a goal outside of like lifting weights and getting stronger. And that it will allow me to like keep my motivation of swimming every morning. I'm doing 30 minutes, 25, 30 minutes on the timer, just continuous as much as I can with little breaks in between. And I'm literally coming from the ground up. Like, when the first time you were on the treadmill and you're like, holy shit, I need to use the side bits now because I can only do this for 2 minutes. That's me in the swimming pool after like four to 6 lengths. And I was doing that and I was like, oh shit, this is getting better. And I could do 4, then I could do 6. And I was like, okay, let's see if I can do 10 in one go. I was like, then I did 10 one go. Then I did 12 in one go. And I was like, fuck, okay, now I'm really going to die. So I had a 30-second rest, and you go again, do another 2, or do the 4. And, it's all about starting from the bottom and building it up, because you can only get better. And that challenge of having 100 lengths over a course of a day, so I don't know how long it's going to take me. I'm literally just going to go in the pool at like 9 a.m. in the morning, and I'm going to do 10 sets of 10. So 10 lengths, rest, 10 lengths, rest, and do that as long as I can. And then I'll do 100 lengths. And then by Christmas, I want to be able to do 250 lengths in the course of a day. So like a bit of a challenge, like a marathon type of thing, where I just go for it and I don't stop until, or I don't get out the pool until I do that 250. And that really works for me in terms of my mindset, because ultimately, like, one of the biggest things I've always struggled with was my ability to, think that I'm good enough to complete a task. I'm great at starting tasks. I'm such creative. I have so many good ideas and I can get to action them straight away. Like when I put the book out this morning, someone was like, "Oh my God, you run 2 podcasts a business, you mentor, you lecture, you live in Dubai, you run the X amount of people, and you still have a time to write a book." I'm like, yeah, that's not a humble brag. It's just like, it's how fast I work. And it's just the way I work. I love it. I love being super, super fast with implementing ideas. Some of them aren't particularly good, but I implement them and see what happens anyway. Success like speed. And I'm good at making speed, but I've never been able to complete things. So for me to actually complete this book and actually come to the end where I'm like, I'm happy with it, is an odd experience. Normally I'd do things to 90% and then I'd just leverage it out, or I would just like go and get a copywriter to do it, or which I did, but then I reviewed it again, or I'd just get someone else to do the last 10% because, there's some people in your team, like a football team. I'm the creative midfielder. I'm the person who creates the assist, the long balls, the little neat balls in between. I also defend. I also do all of the things in that middle of that pitch. But when it comes to the goals, you want to leave that to the striker to finish it off. And I always used to do that. I always used to be like, okay, you go and do this, finish it off on me, dot the I's, cross the T's, you do this. But in this scenario, I wanted to be that I am enough. I wanted to be that I am good enough to finish it off. And it's the same with the pool. Every time I step in the pool now, I'm looking and thinking about that clock. I'm like, oh my God, how long more left? How long more left? I want to just get out. I can't be bothered doing anymore. I'm tired. 25 minutes goes past. But I've got the alarm ready to go. That creates that certainty that I can finish now. When that alarm goes off, I can finish and I have no out. So it's teaching me some good lessons. And if you do want, the fitness is always the teacher, right? So if you ever want to learn about yourself and how good your mental capacities are, try and do some cardio-based activities for a set amount of time, and you'll see what your real limitations are. Because if you're stopping based on your mind, which is mostly what people do, then you have a lot more room to grow from a mindset perspective. If you're stopping because of a physical thing where you're like, I'm pressing a dumbbell and I can't physically press it anymore, then that's physical capability. That's fine. But like me in the pool, I ultimately stop when I choose to stop. I was doing my lens and I was like, don't stop until your arms don't work. And I was like, that's never going to happen because I'm going to drown if that happens. And therefore, I'm never going to let that happen to myself. So it's never a physical thing. It's never a point of that you reach full exhaustion after 12 laps. It's the fact that your mind goes, oh, this is difficult. And it builds up over time. And you say, I don't want to do it anymore. And that's the mental side of things. And I think that'll teach you a lot about where your mindset is at and your ability to get the most out of your headspace and also your physical capabilities. We know that the physical body is capable of way more than we ever use it for. And I'm just slowly learning now that I can use it to my advantage for this cardio thing. But yeah, 250 laps or lengths by Christmas and 100 lengths by October the 22nd. And I'm going to keep you guys posted on that. But I just thought it was a good learning because ultimately adaptation and the ability to adapt may put you outside of the social norm. But if it's a goal worth going for, or if it's something that's important to you, then you have to step outside of that to truly grow and be you. And once you become you, things feel good on the inside, and they don't have to feel good for other people. And I just want to give you that from this side of things. Hopefully that relates back to dieting, relates back to making changes in your own life. Adaptation for yourself to make you is absolutely key. So have a good day, guys, and chat to you soon.